Welcome to the October 5th, 2022 meeting of the Oceanside City Council. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Boom. And ask our city clerk to take roll.
Mayor Sanchez.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Kime. Present. Councilmember Jensen. Here. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss. Here.
Thank you. Please rise for our invocation. Tonight we have with us Pastor Van Ibeson, the lead pastor for Mariners Church, Oceanside. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. This is an honor to be here and an honor to lead our time of invocation. Would you join me? Gracious God, we thank you for this time. We thank you for those who are in this room. We thank you for our elected officials who really desire what you desire, the welfare of our city and the flourishing of our families and our communities. And so we ask you for your wisdom and your guidance and your presence so that we can serve our city well. Look with favor on us and our time together, our city, protect our citizens and our leaders, enrich our city so that we may be a blessing to others. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please remain standing and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. And as we begin the proclamations, Mr. Clerk, if you could announce the continued items for this evening's council meeting.
An agenda change happened today, or rather earlier this week. Item number 18, which was the Ocean Camp project, has been moved and continued to the next regularly scheduled city council meeting on October 19th. Again, the Ocean Camp item, which was item number 18, will not be heard tonight, but rather be continued to October 19th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's on now, yes? Thank you very much. And tonight we have a couple of proclamations. First, I'd like to call up Amanda Cheney, an amazing client advisor from the California Manufacturing Technology Consulting. Yes, up here. Yes, thank you, Amanda. And also Michelle Geller, our economic development lead and person, and overall great person who leads us on our economic development. And I do have it's called a certificate of recognition presented to California Manufacturing Technology Consulting, honoring National Manufacturing Day and Manufacturing Month California 2022. So you've got a national day and then a state, a whole month. That's October 7th is Friday 2022 and October 2022 respectively. Whereas the first Friday in October is designated as National Manufacturing Day and was created as an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the many contributions of manufacturing in the United States. And whereas recognizing that California has the largest number of manufacturers in the nation with representation across virtually all manufacturing sectors, California Manufacturing Technology Consulting and its partners celebrate the entire month of October as Manufacturing Month California. And whereas CMTC, the California Manufacturing Extension Partnership Center, and their partners have been actively promoting National Manufacturing Day and Manufacturing Month California. And whereas due to these efforts, manufacturers throughout California will, in a coordinated effort, help illustrate what manufacturing is by participating in Manufacturing Month California events designed to increase public awareness of modern manufacturing and the great career opportunities manufacturing affords. And whereas through these invaluable efforts and dedication, CMTC has helped communities and future generations of manufacturers throughout California. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Esther C. Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby recognize this Friday, October 7th, 2022, as National Manufacturing Day, and October 2022 as Manufacturing Month California in the City of Oceanside with many thanks to CMTC and their partners for their outstanding support of this worthy event. Thank you. And this is for Amanda.
Thank you.
And I'd like to hand over the mic.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. So, thank you, Mayor and City Council and members of the community. So I wanted to provide context of manufacturing in Oceanside. Within the district, the congressional district, there's 2,500 companies, and here in Oceanside, there's 500 manufacturing companies. 90% of those have less than 20 employees. We are a community of small businesses that are manufacturing in Oceanside. 80% of them have at least $1 million in revenue. The top industries are aerospace and defense, food and beverage, electronics, communications, metal, plastics, and wood. And as a result of services through my organization, CMTC, we helped retain or create 145 jobs. We helped retain or increase $1.8 million in sales. We help companies invest $1.9 million, and then we help them save over $250,000. So I just wanted to say that I am personally committed to collaborating with the city, with Michelle, with our partners at Innovate 78 and the North County EDC to continue to support a thriving manufacturing here in Oceanside.
Thank you, Amanda. And you're from North County, too. So that's really cool. Fantastic. And Michelle, what does this mean for Oceanside?
Manufacturing is definitely an important industry to Oceanside, and it provides a lot of jobs, and we are looking forward to our manufacturing industry expanding even more over the next few years. So, and thank you to Amanda for all you do for our companies.
Thank you. Now let's take that picture. That's good. Thank you, Amanda. I hope you feel better. Thank you. Thank you. And now we have a proclamation in honor of National Filipino American History Month. Dory Harris, President, and other members of FACO, the Filipino American Philam Cultural Organization here in Oceanside. This is a dynamic group, let me tell you. They have several events every year. I mean, there's at least 5 or 6, right? And they're fantastic events. So, proclamation in honor of National Filipino American History Month 2022. Whereas Filipino Americans are the second largest Asian Pacific Islander group in the U.S. and a significant and integral part of our diverse Oceanside community. And whereas in 2009, Congress recognized October as Filipino American History Month in the United States. And whereas the Filipino American Cultural Organization, FACO, established in 1976, is an organization whose focus is youth education, scholarships, disaster relief, and preservation and promotion of cultural heritage. And whereas FACO has a broad membership representing all regions of the Philippines and whose role in the community is especially important in Oceanside, where Filipino Americans have made vital contributions in medicine, nursing, education, the military, technology, government, and the economy. And whereas FACO works to celebrate the diversity of our community and to foster understanding and appreciation of Filipino culture by partnering with the Oceanside Public Library every year to present the annual Oceanside Filipino Cultural Celebration at the Oceanside Civic Center. And whereas the Oceanside Filipino Cultural Celebration is filled with music and dance performances, traditional dress, history, and arts from the Philippines and from our Filipino American community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Esther C. Sanchez, on behalf of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim the month of October as National Filipino American History Month 2022 in the City of Oceanside, with many thanks to our Filipino American community for their tremendous contributions to the City of Oceanside. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Thank you so much. We are proud Filipino-American cultural organization, and like Mayor Sanchez, we've been around for 46 years, and this month is our is Filipino-American History Month, and I would like to hand this mic to our ES Jonathan, who is our Filipino-American historian in our community.
Before you do that,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
can you identify everybody that's here?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Of course, my name is Dory Harris, the president of the Filipino-American Cultural Organization since 2019. And next to me is my advisory member, Wendy Trower. And I do have my publisher here, or my social media director, Tess Trusdell. And also she is one of my teacher that for the Tagalog language class that we implemented in 2016, and of course our Executive Secretary, Jonathan Inerba. Thank you, Mayor. There you go.
Oh, am I? Talk about. All right, thank you very much on behalf of the Philippine American Cultural Organization. Thank you, Mayor, for giving us recognition, and also the city councils. And a little bit of history about the Philippine American. Okay, October 18, 1581, when the first landing of the Filipinos in Morro Bay, and they have some altercations with the Chumish Indians. And that is documented, and that's the start of us immigrating to this part of the world. And then also in here in Oceanside, way back on September 9, 1976, 3 individuals was able to conceptualize the formation of the Filipino American Cultural Organization. That name was used to be Filipino American Social Club only. And one of our founding individual is still alive. She is about 84 years old? 80 years old, okay? And she's still and she still dances a lot. And unfortunately, the 2 already expired. And because of that effort, we are able to just tighten up our bonds, the chemistries and everything, and here we are. 46 sailors still strong. Okay, and we would like to invite you also to attend the Filipino American activities here in San Diego or North County, everywhere. Just type in Filipino American, and then you will be treated well with a lot of foods, dances, and you'll be entertained. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
And then everybody's going to have to dance disco afterwards, okay? I'm danced under the table here with these guys. They do.
The banana dance.
And the banana dance, yes. You won, right? We won. Well, you won, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, this is a terrific group. Our Asian Pacific Islander community, Asian AAPI community, is over 9% here in Oceanside. And I have to say, the Philab community is a very integral part of our Oceanside experience, community, cultural history. And I just thank you so much for everything you all do. Thank you. Yes. Come on. Closed session report, Mr. Mullen.
Thank you. The council met in closed session to discuss item 1 on the closed session agenda, which was the conference with labor negotiator on the status of labor negotiations with the Oceanside Police Management Association. There's no action on item 1 to report under the Brown Act. Also on item 2, there was no meeting.
Thank you. Next are consent calendar items, items 4 through 12. Are there any requests from the public to pull?
There's no requests from the public to pull any items from consent calendar.
Back to the council.
Move approval.
Motion to approve? Okay, there's a motion, a second. Please vote. These are items 4 through 12.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 13 under general items, approval of the proposed enhanced harbor safety services plan, approval of a one-year property use agreement with Pacific Suites, Inc. for the use of 2 suites and a parking bay at the Oceanside Marina Suites Hotel located at 2008 Harbor Drive North for a one-year total cost of $99,600 and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement. We have a report by Fire Chief David Parsons.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Fire Chief David Parsons here to present item 13, the Enhanced Safety Services Plan. And so to begin, please, staff recommends that the City Council approve the proposed Enhanced Harbor Safety Services Plan and approve a one-year property use agreement with Pacific Suites Incorporated for the use of 2 suites and a parking bay at the Oceanside Marina Suites Hotel located at 2008 Harbor Drive North for a one-year total cost of $99,600 and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. For background, in 2021, staff has been working, since 2021, staff has been working to modify the current land and water-based public safety services within the Oceanside Small Craft Harbor. The Oceanside Police Department currently serves the harbor. Various proposals were evaluated, including a standalone security model, a resurrection of the harbor patrol model, and a combined fire and lifeguard model. After evaluation, staff presented the fire and lifeguard model to the Harbor and Beaches Advisory Committee. On August 15th, the Harbor and Beaches Advisory Committee recommended approval of the plan 7-1. Further refinement and evaluation of community needs resulted in the fire captain position being replaced by a firefighter paramedic to provide advanced life support care. Staffing would now be provided by 10 new personnel, including 1 supervising lifeguard lieutenant on a 40-hour weekly schedule, with 3 shifts each of a lifeguard sergeant, a senior beach lifeguard, and a firefighter paramedic. Coverage will provide 24-hour, 7-day-a-week coverage using 3 shifts, and overnight accommodations are provided at the Marina Suites. The service goals are boat operations, both within the harbor and offshore, rescue swimmer operations, fire suppression and emergency medical services, hazardous materials response, vessel, dock, and facility inspections. The firefighter-paramedic position would ensure continuous paramedic and firefighting service within the harbor on a 24-hour basis. Assigned firefighter-paramedics would be trained in boat operations and be required to pass a swim test. Regular patrols would generally take place between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The harbor plans to hire overnight private security to patrol parking lots, restrooms, and docks. A memorandum of understanding between fire and the harbor will be prepared to define services and to be provided to ensure accountability. Staffing and operations and maintenance are expected to cost, staffing, operations and maintenance, security and housing are expected to cost $2.55 million annually. There will be a one-time first-year cost of $60,000 to purchase emergency medical supplies and ALS equipment. Projected police department costs over the same period are going to be approximately $2.8 million for fiscal year 22-23. This results in an annual savings of $240,000 after the first year with the new plan. If the proposed plan is approved by City Council, fire and police departments will begin the transition process. Transition costs can be absorbed under the existing budgets. New positions will be filled by recruitments. Personnel will be selected by fire and lifeguard staff to fill the harbor spots. Training will be required and provided. Standard operating procedures will be created. Vehicles and vessels will be replaced, will be rebranded, and facilities will be set up. We anticipate full implementation early 2023 and are committed to providing regular updates to stakeholders and council. In closing, ask for the recommendation that the City Council approve the proposed Enhanced Harbor Safety Services Plan and approve a one-year property use agreement with Pacific Suites Incorporated for the use of 2 suites and a parking bay at the Oceanside Marina Suites Hotel located at 2008 Harbor Drive North for a one-year total cost of $99,600 and authorize the City Council to execute the agreement. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, we do. We have 2 speakers. Our first speaker is Liz Rea, to be followed by Mark Malaby.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. My name is Liz Ray. I'm also the chair for the Harbors and Beaches Advisory Committee. This has been a long time coming. I've been having the privilege to working with Mr. Borrego on this for over 2 years. And throughout this whole stressful situation, I think we have a place to start. But everybody has to remember that this is just a starting place. We are going to have updates from them. We are going to analyze what's going on and make recommendations for changes. I'd like to ask at this time, would somebody please announce what the services are going to be provided by the lifeguards? What are their responsibilities and who's going to do what? And also, I would like to confirm that we are going to have written MOUs that will outline everybody's duties, responsibilities, and costs. These were things that the stakeholders at the last 4 meetings that I was privileged to attend really wanted to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, Liz, I wanted to ask you, this began as a petition. My apologies.
That's me.
Petition, right?
Yes, it was a situation that didn't really work too well, and then there was a petition going on. Personally, I never saw the petition. I'm not a petition person. And then it was drafts and proposals that we had. I believe we had 6 that we went through.
All right, thank you. Mr. Malaby?
Back up again. Mayor, Council Hill, thanks for taking on this this recommendation. I'm also on the Harbour Advisory Board, and actually I wanted to congratulate everybody who worked on this. No one, if you got the mix right, no one is happy. Everybody's a little bit happy. Everybody's a little bit not happy. I feel like we really got the mix right here. I think it will improve the services to the boaters and to the harbour community. And then, you know, I applaud the addition of the EMT type positions as you know, they will be able to provide a you know, what am I talking about? Paramedics for rapid response, you know, and that's what's needed around the water is rapid response. So I think I applaud you guys for adding that in. That was great. Thank you very much. As Liz said, we need to keep going on this. We need to. It's a work in progress. I'm looking forward to working with the city to continue this process, get us a long-term situation away from the hotel. You know, figure out what the models look like and how we can move forward. But I think with the relationship we started to establish with this team, I think we can move forward with that and and everyone be proud of what we're created here. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the speakers on this item.
Thank you. Chief, would you like to respond to the questions?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the council, just make sure I didn't miss anything. I heard a comment about regular communication, that this is a work in progress, and we 100% agree. We believe this is a good starting point, and the starting point drove actually one of the changes I made late through consultation with city leadership and city manager's office about, and stakeholders, and providing paramedic level care as one of the primary goals, switching that from a fire captain. So that indicates we understand it's a work in progress and commit to working with stakeholders on that. As stated, it's both in my presentation and in the staff report, an MOU will be developed that's going to clearly outline roles, responsibilities, and all stakeholders are going to be witness to that, and we'll seek input for that as well. And a description of duties was asked specifically about, I think I heard Chairperson Ree mention the lifeguards, but we actually have a description of duties in attachment 4 in the staff report that talks about all of the possible duties that are going to be, whether it's the security patrol, lifeguards, fire department. Lifeguards are the fire department, and that's why you'll see fire on there, and that refers to the lifeguards as well. So those duties are delineated in the attachment, and they will also be spelled out further in the memorandum of understanding and in our standard operating procedures.
Thank you. To the council. I have no lights. I do want to say that this did start off with, I believe the petition was close to 1,000 signatures. And I have to say that this process was really a hands-on. I think everybody came onto this, members of the community, the harbor, as well as staff, really trying to work out a solution. And I think someone said it best. I think it was Mr. Malaby. It's, if when you don't have it, complete, happiness on anybody's side, then I guess you've basically worked out a compromise. This is a first step, and I do feel that this is good, a good starting point. And I'm sure we'll work out whatever kinks we end up having. But yes, it was historic in terms of history. We did have a different model, and then we went to more of a police OPD, and then so the feeling was, we really liked the way it worked before. How can we get that? And I think that this has come really, really close. So I'm going to move approval. And Councilmember Jensen.
I just wanted to say really quickly, because I live at the north end of Pacific Street, so I hear the sirens going daily in the summertime right past my house, and there's a huge need to have the fire department, the paramedics, and the lifeguards there on a regular basis. And I think this is going to work out great. I'm excited for this program, and I will second that motion.
There's a motion, a second. Councilmember Weiss.
Yeah, I just have a couple comments and then a question. I'm a little concerned about, I get the process we've been through, but what is before us, we are taking a medic and putting them down in the harbor, and there's nothing in here that demonstrates any change in duties. I know that part of it is they're going to have they're going to be a rescue boat operator, but I would suspect that the people working in the harbor, whether it's the medic, the lifeguards, or anyone else, they should have, basic understanding and training in California boating laws, marine navigation, marine firefighting, since they're going to be down there, marine weather issues. And none of that is included in what we have today. It may be included at some point with this MOU, but it's not before us today. So I have some concerns about that. However, based on the staff report and the recommendation from the city manager that the services are going to be enhanced at a lower cost, I feel the council's primary responsibility is a fiduciary responsibility to support it, not to get into the weeds as who's going to be down there, because unless you really want the 5 of us interfering in the administrative functions of the city, what we should be looking at is costs and efficiency of what's going to happen down there. So I will support it, but I do have concerns that there may be things that, when you start working on this MOU and, who's going to be enforcing the Blue Book, who's going to be enforcing illegal liveaboards. I doubt it's going to be the medic, so I will support it.
Thank you. No other lights. My understanding was that there was going to be intensive training. Chief, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, and Councilmember Weiss. If it's not clear in the staff report, the training is going to be required for a rescue boat operator, and there is marine firefighting as part of the training for the firefighters specifically. They are going to be a crew working together, and the idea is that out of the three, 2 will always be rescue boat operators, 2 will always be rescue swimmers, and the marine firefighting component's going to be a part of that crew as well and will be required. There's not time in a short period to actually change job descriptions, but the letter of understandings that we've created with the new lifeguard union and the OFA, the firefighters union, describes that the training requirements are going to be there and certifications are going to be there.
Thank you.
And we'll clarify that for you as we go forward.
And I take it once this is implemented, the lifeguards will no longer be part of the emergency call-out list.
Actually, that's incorrect. And the reason that's incorrect is because part of the duty lifeguard call-out is for swiftwater rescue teams, things like that. So while they aren't going to now be called out because the resource is available 24 hours for, let's say, a pier jumper or some emergency that's after hours, they still need to maintain the ability to do callback for any other emergency within their expertise. But yes, they're not going to be called out. They will still have their duty call-out procedures.
Thank you.
Thank you. No other lights. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 14 is introduction of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 2, Article 4 of the Oceanside City Code, establishing minimum qualifications for candidates for city treasurer. We have a report by Assistant City Manager Michael Gossman. Mr. Gossman.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Michael Gossman, Assistant City Manager. As the mayor alluded, we are recommending the City Council amend Chapter 2, Article 4 of the, to establish minimum qualifications for the elected treasurer. So some background on this. On August 14th, staff was directed to return with recommended minimum qualifications for the elected treasurer position, which enforces the investment policy established by this body. Day-to-day operations are handled by staff led by the Financial Services Director. Staff is recommending the following minimum qualifications based on research into best practices and discussions with the California Municipal Treasurers Association. Staff is actually recommending 4 different options for eligibility. One is a bachelor's degree in any subject, and along with 16 units of accounting, auditing, economics, business administration, or finance, or the possession of a CPA, or they would hold a charter by the Institute of Chartered Financial Analysts, a CFA, or have received a certificate in investment performance management. And lastly, a certified California Municipal Treasurer by the California Municipal Treasurers Association. Staff recommends that the City Council introduce this ordinance, amending various sections of Chapter 2, Article 4 of the City Code, establishing minimum qualifications for candidates for city treasurer, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
We have one request to speak from Ken Layton.
Thank you.
Three and a half years ago, I urged you to adopt minimum requirements for city treasurer. You're finally getting around to it after the city wasted $350 an hour on a Victor Roy investigation and after Oceanside became an international punchline. But knowing real-life shipwrecks can make good theater, I wrote Victor the Musical, which makes its world premiere right now. About Victor avoiding city council meetings to instead lurk around City Hall, I revised You Won't See Me by the Beatles. And if you will, when your jig was up, you kind of disappeared. You won't show your face, you just creep around. We have questions for you that you just won't answer to. You're playing hide and seek, and you won't see me. And then there was Johnny Rivers' Secret Agent Man readaptation. It goes like, secret treasurer man, secret treasurer man. He's watching all the porno to make sure your library's safe. Okay, maybe this one will hit you. About Victor's complete inability to oversee or even understand anything financial, I readapted Sam Cooke's Wonderful World. And it goes like this. Don't know much about geometry. Don't know much trigonometry. Don't know much about algebra. Don't know what a slide rule is for. But I do know 1 and 1 is 3. And if you would just vote for me, what a wonderful world this would be. Okay, I have another one, but I don't think anyone's appreciating this that much. But anyway, I had to get it off my chest. Victor isn't coming to meetings anymore. Wherever he is in City Hall, whatever's on TV, I hope it's good. And I wish you to listen to me before, but at least looks like you're, if something's good coming out of this now. And I'm glad we can all move on from this, to be honest with you. And thank you for your time.
There are no more speakers on this item.
Thank you to the council. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Move approval.
There's a motion and a second. And I do want to say, he is not here today. And I have not received any message from Mr. Roy regarding his absence. However, we'll say that the report that we did receive did not find Mr. Roy in violation or not able to fulfill his duties as a treasurer. It did find that he viewed inappropriate materials at the library, which, you know, I'm not sure there's any connection to doing his, to the duties of a treasurer, which is what is before us today. So I'm a little concerned that we are moving forward on the treasurer when we haven't done anything for the council or for the city clerk's office. It does look like we're picking on Mr. Roy, and I was advised by staff that the treasurer for the state of California has no requirements. So it is basically left up to the voters of the city of Oceanside, you know, who is the best qualified to serve in this position, much as city council members, who is the best qualified. So it is not up to this dais to decide, gee, you know, voters made a mistake. It's up to the voters to decide what to do about that. So I do feel that unless we are more evenly, approach this even-handedly, I don't feel that I feel comfortable requiring this from from the city treasurer's position and not from any other electeds. So, Councilmember Weiss, did you want to speak?
Yes, I have a question for staff. What is involved in number 4, well, your 4th bullet, but in the staff report, number 4, that you have to get a California Municipal Treasurers Association certification as a CCMT?
I'll just quickly review what is from the CMTA website and the requirements for that. The targeted audience are finance and treasury personnel responsible for management and oversight of fixed income portfolios. Prerequisites are a bachelor's degree in a related field of study and minimum of 2 years of treasury, finance, or investment-specific experience, or 6 years of treasury, finance, or investment-specific experience. There is also educational requirements. They have to take some online coursework at a cost of $1,000, and then in-person coursework of 8 hours of training by the CMTA, and then they have ongoing CPEs that they're meant to maintain.
Do you feel that that's a reasonable requirement?
I feel that that is for working professionals in this field as treasury managers, those who manage those, that is considered a respected certificate.
Okay, thank you. The only other comment I would make in regards to what the mayor was just talking about, what I find the most offensive in that report is that the city treasurer was found to be untruthful. And I feel that's a bigger issue than any of the other concerns that were raised. So.
Deputy Mayor Khan.
Again, while these happened at the same time, I think I've been clear that this isn't about one person in one position, but we did realize that we had a hole that we needed to, or a fix that we needed to come up with. So we can at least have someone who understands complex financial systems so they can be a watchdog. Other cities, our city to the south, Carlsbad, is something similar. I think it's only responsible of us to have someone who understands the position to be a watchdog over $500 million. So this isn't about one person. Been very clear about this. We haven't tailored it that way. And I think it's just council doing our due diligence. And we're still leaving it up to the voters. We're just allowing the voters to vet someone who actually has some education and knowledge of the field that they'll be working in.
Thank you. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention, and that is that this really began as a discussion between two individuals, the treasurer and the treasury manager, who is a city employee and who, in fact, has the only access to our portfolio. And I feel that Mr. Roy, in all the questions that he asked, and maybe it wasn't the most sophisticated in how he got there, he was able to shed light on a situation.
Mayor, point of order, please.
I'm sorry.
This isn't about the investigation.
I'm sorry.
This is about requirements
You're
for
out of
the
order.
treasurer.
You're out of order, Mr. President. I want to say that because of what happened, which led to this, of course, that I am very happy that we now are taking steps in making sure that we have others that are involved in this process, and that we have checks and balances on this situation. Because if something were to happen to our portfolio, it would be our problem. It would be the city council's failure to act. So I appreciate that staff in covering all this stuff realized that we need to address the situation. So there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
I'll need to introduce the ordinance. This is the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside, amending Chapter 2, Article 4 of the Oceanside City Code, establishing minimum qualifications for candidates for city treasurer.
Thank you. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-1. Sanchez, no.
Thank you. Item number 15, approval of the revised program description for the Manufactured Home Improvement Program by A, increasing the maximum one-time grant assistance limit from $6,000 to $10,000 for extremely low and very low income households, and B, removal of the $3,000 match requirement for lower income households while increasing the one-time grant limit assistance from $3,000 to $5,000. And we have a report by Cecilia Barandiran, Management Analyst. I feel like I need to roll my R's somewhere, but. We also have our Director of Neighborhood Services, Leilani Hines.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. I'm Cecilia Brandran, Management Analyst, and I'm here this evening to present our Manufactured Home Improvement Program revisions. Staff is recommending a couple of changes to a program that has not been updated in many years. The program currently provides $6,000 grants to extremely low and very low income households. For households in the lower income range, we provide grants of $3,000, but the homeowner must match it with a $3,000 of their own dollars. Staff is recommending some changes to the program. Some of the changes are to address current code violations, such as potentially roofing, skirting, plumbing, electrical that are out of order, or general maintenance issues, such as your leveling, tiles, other things of that nature. The program currently has a waiting list of about 126 plus households waiting for the program assistance, and we have about, I think about 15 that we're processing currently. So one thing that always seems to be questionable is what are the income ranges? What do they mean? So we are proposing for our extremely low and very low income households, that's basically households below 50% of area median income, that we increase the amount of the grant assistance from $6,000 to $10,000. The reason for this is that we have been noting in our program that the amount of assistance is not sufficient to address any one or two significant items, such as roofing and or potentially electrical. It's not sufficient funds to address the need. Lower income households have generally additional assets that they can apply, so we recommend removing the match requirement because no lower income households have used the program in the last 20 years, probably because of the match component, and just increase that amount from $3,000 to $5,000, one-time assistance. As we mentioned, the program hasn't been updated in many years. The last time it was actually updated was in 2004. Construction costs have been continuing to grow in the last 3 to 5 years, and they're certainly not sufficient for the need, and our waiting list grows every week. So, as mentioned, staff is recommending that you approve these revisions to the program, that you increase the amount of assistance from $6,000 to $10,000 for your extremely low and very low income households. For your lower income households, you remove the match requirement of an additional $3,000 and you increase that level from $3,000 to $5,000. These amounts of assistance would be one-time assistance as we then process our applicants. That concludes staff's recommendation, and I'm available for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any requests to speak from the public?
Yes, but I think one member of the public's just wrapping up submitting their speaker slip, and I don't want to mess them up. But we do have 3 speakers on this item.
Right. No, we'll go ahead and let her speak as well.
Sandy Beal, to be followed by Linda Walshaw, and I believe Wendy Dolan Bravo as well. So, Sandy?
By the way, how much is in the grant on the funds available for this?
We allocate $100,000 for the Mobile Home Improvement Program as part of our CDBG Annual Action Plan.
So that's how much the balance is right now?
We have already expended some of those funds, which as we do as part of our fiscal process.
Right. So what's the balance at this point?
I don't have that number available for you. I know we have a lot committed, but we haven't actually spent. We have a lot of our jobs that are waiting for their contractors to come back in, the bids, so that they can actually then close.
Thank you. Sandy?
Okay. Honorable Mayor Sanchez and City Council members, my name is Sandy Beal. I'm the park representative for Rancho San Luis Rey Mobile Home Park and also the homeowners president. The Manufactured Home Improvement Program is essential for many mobile homeowners in Oceanside. Raising the amount from $6,000 to $10,000 is timely. Homeowners need and deserve this help from the city. There needs to be some way to be sure that mobile homeowners know about this program. This information needs to be easily accessible to all mobile homeowners. There are many people who live in mobile homes that are substandard that really need this help. Thank you.
Linda Walshaw?
Good evening, everyone. Linda Walshaw. I'm the CEO of Mobile Home Advisory Committee, We're a nonprofit assisting mobile homeowners throughout the county. I just want to bring to your attention that this program is so essential to our mobile home communities, especially in the coastal areas where a lot of the parks were built in the late 60s, early 70s, and the homes are aging out. This is the largest form of affordable housing in the state, although even most of them can't be counted as affordable housing because they're not means tested, with the exception of Laguna Vista. But what's happening over time is these homes are aging out, and as these equity investors are purchasing the parks, they're targeting the oldest residents and the oldest homes. And we've seen some people get served with lists as long as 34 pages of repairs that are being required, often for things that are not code required, or they're not a state law under Title 25. They call them sometimes a park rule, but if that rule was not noticed properly, if it was not voted on by public vote of the homeowners, then it's not a park rule. And if the park rule conflicts with the law prevails, not the park rule. So there's a lot of confusion. And what's happening is if these people get served a 7-day notice to repair something, say their steps, for instance, and if they receive 3 of those 7-day notices within a 12-month period, what's happening now when they're being targeted is they'll be served those 7-day notices one after the other, 3 days in a row. So now they've got 3 7-day notices that meets the requirements to have them evicted for not getting these repairs done timely. We just recently had a lady who her husband was in ICU. I'm sure you all remember that. But if we don't turn these around and get them processed quickly and get them the help they need, a lot of our elderly people, we've got people in their 80, 85 years old that can't afford these repairs. And it literally is the roof over their head and our only source of housing for these people. If we lose any one of these parks, there's no place for them to be relocated to anymore. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands how critical it is and that hopefully we can increase our budget for the next series of loans. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wendy Bravo.
Wendy, you also signed up for the Loretta Street item. Did you still wanted to talk on that, or did you mean to sign up on this one and both? Okay, perfect. All right. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
My name is Wendy Bravo, and I reside at Terrace Gardens Mobile Home Park. We have a great poverty in that park. And some of the residents have been issued what looks like a hit list of repairs to do, and we anticipate more coming, especially as we may be subject to a Title 25 inspection. And this is a critical matter for the elders, those who are infirm, who have mental health issues, and those who are poverty-stricken. So thank you very much to the city for raising the amount that will be granted. We hope to see more. We can expect to see some residents ask to replace their porches altogether, not just their stairs, which we know is an expensive outlay, and a series of other things, which can make the difference between them being able to stay in their homes or find themselves subject to an eviction for not being able to comply. So thank you very much for your compassion, Mayor, and esteemed members of the Town Council.
Thank you. Back to the council. I move approval. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Do we have any requests to speak on items not on the agenda?
Yes, we do. We have 6 speakers.
6. Can we get started?
Our first speaker is Kelly McMahon Alexander, to be followed by Brian Lee, to be followed by Todd Quinn.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm Kelly McMahon Alexander, and I thought I might be going off agenda, but now I think I'm not, considering speaking of funding and grant monies that are being put out. I'm standing here today to speak about homelessness and the difference of unsheltered. Homelessness, you could be in a hotel, you could be at your brother's home in his garage, tent, encampment, RV in the back of your car. Whereas unsheltered, there's very few out there, but you are not sheltered at all. You're on a sidewalk. I just read as of late, not more than a week ago in the Union Tribune, $4.3 million are being allotted for San Diego, Vista, Oceanside. Oceanside, we're working on this navigation center for homeless people and unsheltered. Please do not forget that. Also, 50-bed shelter, something in Vista for a safe parking lot, 25 spaces, I believe. San Diego, a safe parking lot, 60 spaces, more or less. Back to the point of $4.3 million. Nobody wants to wake up in the morning and have their coffee and see said Joe outside of their lovely window in all his glory, unsheltered, disrobed perhaps, maybe having mental problems, challenges, physical challenges. I'm tired of hearing about COVID because it's not that reason anymore, and we know that. I'm just putting it out there once again. I hope that you allow me to come speak again as I educate myself more in this political and activist realm. I'm new to it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brian Lee. To be followed by Todd Quinn. Brian Lee to be followed by Todd Quinn.
All right. Appreciate council taking the time to hear the concerns of some of the residents of this new ordinance plan. First of all, I wanted to say, my name is Brian Lee. I live at 1022 Santa Anita Street. First thing I wanted to point out was that the completed resolution was not available to the public as a close of business.
Are you speaking on the Loretta Street item, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you wait until then to speak? We're almost there. This is on items not on the agenda.
Is this off agenda?
This is off agenda.
Okay. Well, I do have some off agenda.
Okay.
First of all, it come to my attention that the cul-de-sac being planned will have a curb, and that would restrict access by property owners and the fire department. And
this is about Loretta Street?
Yes, Loretta Street.
I'll call you back up on that. We're almost there.
Well, this is an off agenda. It's not on the agenda.
Loretta Street is, Mr. Mullen, he could speak on that under the Loretta Street.
There's no mention of a
That's
date.
number 16.
I'm sorry.
This is on items not on the agenda, which is item number 20. So you wish to speak on item number 16, and we'll call you up. You don't even have to submit a slip for that. I'll call you back up.
I have other concerns. They're not on the.
You can speak on that.
I'm sorry.
On Loretta. This is about Loretta?
Yes, ma'am. But they're not in the ordinance or on the agenda.
You can speak.
All right, I'll sit down.
Thank you. Thank you. And since it's already 6 o'clock, we'll get there. And so maybe the presentation will help with your questions, sir. Oh, okay. We'll take you. You've been sitting here since
hi, guys.
Just before 5 o'clock, yeah.
My name's
Todd Quinn. I reside at 413 South Myers. I ride a bike in Oceanside. This is what I look like tonight. I'm here because I'm concerned with Oceanside Boulevard, specifically where the sewer pump and station is located and the current construction of it. I've shared my concerns 4 months ago about the construction out front. I received the feedback from the project manager that this project would be completed in August. This project is not completed, and the bicycle path is still has the debris all over it. I've done everything I could, so I'm not asking for anything anymore. I'm telling you that the area is so unsafe that someone's going to get hurt, and I would like some immediate attention. I don't speak on behalf of the bicycle committee here in Oceanside. I've worked with them for years. I believe that they're doing the best they can with what they have to work with. But I am the one on the streets every day. I see what's happening, and I think simple addressing, cleaning it up, and fixing the bike lane would help us. Oceanside Boulevard is very important to me because it's how I go grocery shopping. It's the only road that gives us transportation to groceries.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. We do have our Assistant City Manager, Michael Gossman, who will be speaking to you.
Cool.
Thank you very much for letting us know about the situation. Mr. Gossman will be speaking to you outside of the chambers, if that's okay.
Just to wrap it up then.
Yes.
When the soccer facility gets completed, that's another prime reason why Oceanside Boulevard needs to be a bicycle-friendly street. When we have the 4th of July fireworks show, I want that to be a bicycle-friendly event. We want to have full access on Oceanside Boulevard.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, time that we've been all waiting for, at least Mr. Brian Lee has been waiting for, and that is our time-certain items, public hearing items, starting with item number 16, which is adoption of a resolution ordering the vacation of a portion of Loretta Street, a 60-foot wide right-of-way located between the northeasterly boundary of lots 169 and 155 and the southwesterly subdivision boundary of Francine Villas in the city of Oceanside, county of San Diego, state of California, according to map thereof number 3031, filed in the office of the County Recorder of San Diego County on October 8th, 1953, reserving therefrom a public easement for water, sewer, and emergency access, and direction to the city clerk to file a certified copy of the resolution with the county recorder. I'd like to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and correspondence.
Staff only. Staff and the public.
Staff, and I did get several emails from the public.
Staff.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, do we have any correspondence and/or petitions?
Yes, the city clerk's office received correspondence from Jason Coe and Julia Shriver regarding this item, and both communications were forwarded to the council prior to the meeting.
Thank you very much. We begin with comments from Mr. Bill Tuck, licensed land surveyor. Mr. Tuck?
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution ordering the vacation of a portion of Loretta Street, a 60-foot wide right-of-way located between the boundary of lots 169 and 155 and the southwesterly subdivision boundary of Francine Villas in the city of Oceanside, county of San Diego, state of California, according to map thereof number 3031, filed in office of the county recorder October 8, 1953, and reserved therefrom a public easement for water, sewer, maintenance, and emergency access. On September 23, 1953, the city of Oceanside rejected an offer on map 3031 for a future right-of-way. This right-of-way was later constructed in 1963 across the San Luis Rey River all the way up to Santa Anita Street, which is in the Capistrano neighborhood. There is no record that that right-of-way was ever officially accepted as right-of-way at that time. In January 1981, parcel map 101872 was approved by the city, and that parcel map dedicated 30 feet of right-of-way along Loretta Street, and the city clerk did have a statement on that map of accepting that right-of-way. Also in January of 1981, parcel map 10899 subdivided a lot into 2 lots, and they had a note on there dedicating 30 feet along the frontage of parcel 2. There was no official dedication statement in the owner certificate, and there was no official city clerk acceptance of this dedication at that time. In August of 2004, the property owner of that parcel 2 was attempting to sell the property. The title company informed them that that property did not have legal access to a public right-of-way. So that property owner approached the city about officially accepting the right-of-way that had been formally rejected on map 3031. That resolution was brought forward to City Council on August 18th, 2004, and the City Council officially accepted the right-of-way at that time. And then September 14th of this year, a resolution was brought forward to the City Council to declare its intent to vacate a portion of this right-of-way. In 1980, El Nino floods washed out the river crossing of Loretta Street. At that time, Loretta Street was, after the river crossing was washed out, the city installed a barricade at the entrance to Loretta Street up by Santa Anita Street, permanently closing it to public vehicular access. This barricade has a chain gate that goes across between the 2 barricades that's still allowed for emergency access and maintenance vehicles to get through. This area was only used for that emergency access and maintenance access. In mid-90s, Caltrans came in, they constructed Highway 76, which forever eliminated the possibility of there ever being a new crossing over the river. So this street is considered not a through street at this point. This right-of-way is not maintained. It has not been maintained for at least 42 years. There's been a history of illegal dumping. Around 2016, 50-gallon drums of toxic waste were dumped down at the end of Loretta Street, which prompted Public Works to install a pipe gate near the bottom of the hill at the subdivision boundary to try and eliminate, because people were cutting the chain lock and coming through and doing that. As we all know, there's also issues with encampments all up and down the San Luis Rey River, which greatly increases the risk for wildfires through here, so emergency access is important. The estimated cost for the city to actually officially open that road back up again is approximately $500,000. This cost would include acquiring an additional 24 feet of right-of-way at the bottom end to construct a 80-foot wide cul-de-sac so that vehicles can turn around safely, grading that cul-de-sac, repaving and striping the entire street, and installing street lights up and down the street, because there's no street lights on that street. This cost does not include maintenance of the street, additional patrols, and street sweeping. Currently, there is a proposed single-family development on parcel 2 from map 10899. That's 1016 Loretta Street. As part of this development, the property owner is being conditioned to install a cul-de-sac turnaround along their frontage due to constraints of the property having a steep slope in front of it and not being that large. The right-of-way also only being 60 feet wide. This cul-de-sac will only be a total width of 60 feet between curb to curb. There's been discussions with fire department, and that would be sufficient enough for them to be able to come down, back up partially into the driveway and turn around and get out of there for any emergency access to that property. The underlying fee ownership of this property is to the center line, the properties that border this street. So upon vacation, the ownership of that property would go back to the property owners. The city is proposing reserving an easement for emergency access, maintenance, and we're also proposing an easement for the property owners along this roadway to be able to get down and access the rear of the properties to perform brush maintenance and things of that nature. That was one of the main concerns that were called in to me over the last 2 weeks during this noticing period. Per city ordinance, zoning ordinance, Article 31, Section 3133, no single-family property is allowed to have more than one legal access to the property, one driveway opening. All the properties that would be affected by the proposed vacation have legal access either along Capistrano Street or along Santa Anita Street. So vacating this right-of-way will not affect their legal access to their property. This is an example of where the fee ownership would go to on vacation. Per zoning ordinance section, or Article 30, Section 3039, the majority of these affected actually all these affected properties would be subject to the Hillside Development Ordinance. The 2004 staff report for accepting this right away also had concerns regarding future development on this portion due to the Hillside development. It's estimated that 12 out of the 16 properties would be deemed undevelopable along the backside because upon preliminary analysis, they have slopes of greater than 40% and greater than 25 feet elevation, which would, by the zoning ordinance, deem them undevelopable. The remaining 4 parcels would be subject to Hillside development because they have greater than 20% and 25%, 25 feet of elevation change. And again, most of the calls that I received this week were related to both fire. People were concerned about fire access, so we are retaining that easement for fire. And then the other one was access to maintain their properties. So that's the reason for the late change to the resolution to include that easement. Streets and Highway Code 8320 authorizes a local agency to vacate public right-of-way if the right-of-way is considered in excess, no longer used for street and highway purposes, and is not in the general plan circulation element. Loretta Street meets all 3 of those requirements. Streets and Highway Code 8322. A notice published in a local periodical has to be published 2 weeks prior, indicating that there's a public hearing for this closure. This was done. And then 3 signs are required to be posted along the right-of-way, no further than 300 feet apart, indicating that there's going to be a public hearing for this matter. And that also was done. The anticipated cost for doing the vacation, moving the emergency access gate to the end of the cul-de-sac, and repaving the portion of roadway that will not be vacated is approximately $58,000. And this would be covered by the city's overlay project funds. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution ordering the vacation of a portion of Loretta Street, 60-foot wide right-of-way located between the northeasterly boundary of lots 169 and 155 and the southwesterly subdivision boundary of Francine Villas in the City of Oceanside, County of San Diego, State of California, according to map thereof number 3031, filed in the Office of the County Reporter October 8, 1953, reserving therefrom public easements for water, sewer, maintenance, emergency access, and direct the city clerk to file a certified copy of this resolution with the county recorder. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Tuck. This is a public hearing. This is a time for the public to provide their own testimony and provide the city council their input on this item for discussion and consideration upon a vote. Do we have any requests to speak that were submitted?
Yes, we do. We do have 5. Our first one is Jason Coe,
Could we start with Mr. Brian Lee?
and Brian Lee was the second one, so we'll definitely
Okay.
start with Mr. Lee, to be followed by Jason Coe, to be followed by Cindy Curry. Mr. Lee?
Here we go, Mr. Lee.
Thanks again for your time. My name is Brian Lee. I reside at 1022 Santa Anita Street, Oceanside. I'd like to start with the fact that the completed revised resolution at the close of work yesterday was not available to the public. And even being down here at the council, I was hall, I was unable to attain the completed resolution until 10:30, leaving only 6.5 hours between then and now to review the completed document. I'm requesting the board postpone vote on this resolution until property owners have time to review. It was written by attorneys and should be deciphered by attorneys. No physical description of the proposed gate has been included with the resolution: height, width, gate opening, curbs. Wanted to mention that some, but not all, of the fire department's equipment will be able to turn around the bottom of Loretta Street, southmost area by the river. I hear from some city employees that the cul-de-sac will include a curb crossing Loretta Street, further impairing access by property owners and the fire department. I assume that a gate will be given to affected property owners for access, as mentioned by Mr. Tuck. When Loretta Street was developed, some 1,800 square feet was taken from property owners, all property owners backing Loretta Street. Also, I understand that the property owners were billed for the construction of Loretta Street, and understand that some canceled checks are still available for review. In 1979, I requested a key to the chain gate at Loretta Street and was hand-delivered a key to my front door. Property owners backing Loretta Street have had access to their lots for some 69 years. My main concern is the lack of the ability by this resolution would impose to have maximum use and improvements to our lot. The ordinance denying access to Loretta Street is impractical because of the slope mentioned by Mr. Tuck on many of the properties, limiting access. A drive couldn't be built from Santa Anita or Capistrano to the lower sections of their properties. And it appears that this resolution is being passed because the city doesn't want to bear the cost of bringing Loretta Street to code and maintenance costs. This means my time's over?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
We'll have your questions answered at the end. Thank you.
Jason Coe, to be followed by Cindy Curry, to be followed by Jennifer.
Good evening. I guess if we were on the radio, I would have to say I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller. Madam Mayor and council members, my name's Jason Coe, property owner at 1018 Santa Anita Street. It's lot number 154 in the Francine Villas neighborhood. Purchased in 2003, my property line is one like 19 other property lines that terminate legally at the center of Loretta Street at the rear of our properties. Seeing that potential future, for this neighborhood and how I could potentially expand on that lot was one thing that drove me to invest in this neighborhood at that time. We've seen a lot of change in the Francine Villas neighborhood up there. A lot of things are for the positive. Upon acquisition, like Brian Lee said, I know Brian very well, I also called the city and received a key from the city to the city's lock in my mailbox the next day. to access the rear of my property. A lot of my concerns have been answered by the presentation, and I think that's extremely helpful. I do definitely still want to, continue to throw out my concerns like Brian said. We do access the rear of our properties to maintain the fire safety there. Some of our neighbors, they harvest their gardens. We store our RVs and trailers out of public view. And one day, like most people here in the room or most people at home, I have aging relatives. I have children that are, getting older. I would like to consider that someday I may be able to develop something on the rear of that property. Unfortunately, I'm in one of those high, like hillside type zones
Slope.
where I would have to access the rear of that and bring utilities down from Loretta Street or have to pipe it up over the hill. So having, access to the rear of my property for me is critical, future looking. I have contacted a couple of ADU development companies and I'm currently just in conversations about what those complexities might be. I can't speak for other property owners, but from my perspective, the proposed development at 1016 North Loretta Street won't be the last one that will come your way. I'm really excited to see that somebody's actually taken the initiative to make that happen. And I want to make sure that those of us that also invested in these properties also have the ability to do that one day as well. I am standing here before you, and I have 30 seconds left, asking that the council and the city of Oceanside consider moving the emergency turnaround location to the end of the neighborhood boundary, which is at the end of those 20 properties down towards the bottom of the hill, and put the turnaround there, keeping that access open to all of us and maintaining that ability for us to potentially develop in the future.
Thank you. So you had asked the question about, was it access to the back of your home is what you're trying to achieve here?
Yeah, so at first it's not just the access to be able to store things and go in and out and maintain that defensible zone, but forward looking for me personally, again, I won't speak for the other ones, but at some point I would like to consider the development of something down there in that canyon on the back of my property, which would require vehicle access from Loretta Street. I don't have the side, I don't have the width between the house and the property line to get a driveway down, so I would have to come from the back street.
Thank you. Next, can we get a map of what the back looks like? Do you have something like that to show? Mr. Tuck, I'm sorry. They're talking about access to the back of their properties. Is there something that can show kind of like what we're talking about? Because I haven't been out there since I was a kid, and I was able to ride my bike from the other side of Loretta down over to Capistrano and back before the 76. There you go. I remember doing that, but I haven't been down there since. Yeah. Yeah. I want to put it up there.
Manuel Sanchez, I put up a Google Street View here, so.
Got it. Thank you very much. Next, who wants to speak?
Our next speaker is Cindy Curry, to be followed by Jennifer, to be followed by Wendy Dolan Bravo.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, good evening, city or council members. My name is Cindy Curry. I live on 1007 Capistrano Drive. It's lot 172. And when I first saw this, I thought it was maybe an access that would be denied for us to get to our back hills. But in researching everything today, My concern and question is why the cul-de-sac isn't extended down to the last of the lots. Like it looks like down to Lot A on each side, that the turnaround there would happen, allowing the rest of us who are able to build, because I have an interest also in building, either an ADU or even subdividing my property. It looks as if that cul-de-sac up above would only allow those few properties up above to do that at this time. So I think that building that cul-de-sac, our neighborhood has really changed. I think it would make it more modern, I guess, in order to have a few homes that could be built down there, adding more affordability, lighting. The canyon is something that I always used for years until the transient problem became bad, and it's not somewhere that's safe to go down anymore. I think if that cul-de-sac was extended, that might add to the safety, security. It seems the fire department would have a larger area to turn around in. But mostly, I think that opportunity to develop that property gets cut off with this cul-de-sac. So that's my objection to this resolution. Not to the whole one. I think if it added that, I would be happy with that.
Thank you.
Question? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jennifer, to be followed by Wendy Dolan Bravo. And then we'll take any members of the public that wish to speak on this item.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer, and I've lived at 1009 Capistrano for 27 years. And I just have a few bullet points. Some of them have already been mentioned, but I want to reiterate. This proposal cuts off our property at the bottom. If we need to improve our lots, say to build a fence, we wouldn't have access to that, being able to do that. Limits access to emergency response past the cul-de-sac, which is very important, especially in the case of fire. We've had several fires in that area, and so the fire department needs access to that past the cul-de-sac. Okay, it takes a part of our property away with increase to the 60 feet, reduces our acreage and reduces property value for us, which is important. The cost has been mentioned, which is good, because there was no mention of what the cost was in the proposal, and how is it going to be paid, and are there any environmental studies being done on this? Okay, and I want to know why the residents weren't sent a notice. The only notice we got was at the beginning of Santa Anita. There was a notice posted with the wrong date of the council meeting. And so if it wasn't for our neighbors telling us about this proposal, none of us would ever have known. So I think it's really important for the residents in the area to have been notified, and they weren't. Okay. Let's see, one more thing here. And then I'm just questioning, why does one property owner get the benefit at the expense of their neighbors? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wendy Dolan Bravo. And then we'll open it up to any other members of the public that wish to speak.
Hi, Wendy Dolan Bravo, resident and homeowner at Terrace Gardens. I can't speak to precisely to the vacation of Loretta Street, but I do have a question about, was it Mr. Tuck who gave the presentation up here just a while ago, and he's still here?
Yes.
Okay, I noticed that you had a one-liner or a couple lines on notice given. I don't see it in the materials that we got. When you come in, they're stapled together PowerPoint. So I had a couple of questions about those notices. You said that there was a notice that was put in a publication listing 2 weeks out from today's date for the public hearing. Can you tell me what publication that was?
He'll be able to answer your questions
Okay, so I have another
and all the
question.
questions afterwards.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
have that question on what the publication was, and then also mention was made in that PowerPoint of 4 signs. And would like to know what the contents of those signs were, and the date of the, was the date of the hearing, correct date of the hearing posted on those signs? And when were they installed, and are they still up? That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a time for the public to give their input on this item. This is item number 16. It doesn't matter if you submitted a slip, you can please approach the podium, identify yourself, your name, and then you have up to 3 minutes to speak. So if you haven't submitted a slip, that's okay. You can approach the podium and speak for 3 minutes. Please identify yourself, ma'am.
I'm Mary Louise Ferris Martinez, and I happen to have this map, and if you want somebody to put it so you can see it, it shows the property that we're talking about very simply. Can you hear me? Because I couldn't hear a lot of other people when they were talking. Okay. I've lived there for 50 years, Capistrano. I'm what they would call 175, which is the last one. There you go. Just before the Fallbrook Conservatory, which I love having all that natural around us. I didn't understand why a cul-de-sac of some kind would be put up there when the rest of us would maybe like to do the same thing with our property. And I do not mind the idea of water and sewer coming down, but I think it should come down all the way to the end, at the end of Loretto, where it is actually the end. That makes more sense. In the first place, I don't know if any of you realize, there's no exit. If there's a fire on those people on the right side of my side, they'll die. And the airplanes that we've already had 3 accidents with 1 death, if they were to come across that and they do not go over the river like they're supposed to, and I used to fly, so I'm not just talking, I enjoy seeing them, but if one of them crashed, those people are gone. We have no exit. I don't understand, if you're going to go through the trouble of doing this, why not bring it all the way across and maybe do a footpath that you can go across with your insurance papers and a wheelchair and get over to the other side where the bicycle rack is. That would make sense to me. As far as opening up the street to let somebody open up the parcels, I would love to build a couple of more places on my backyard if I wanted to. At 80, it's not something I'm looking forward to, but my children might be. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Who hasn't spoken yet? Yes, sir. If you could identify yourself, please, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ethan Kostuik, and I live at 1405 Santa Anita Street. I'm one of the top properties that will still have access to that road. And I just have a few questions. A lot has been talked about the vacation of the lower portion of the street. I just have some questions about the impact to the top portion of the street that is going to be repaved. And item number 16, it mentions that the street will be repaved, but I have some questions. Is there going to be sidewalks? Is there going to be street lights? Is it going to be widened at all? What is going to happen to the top portion of the street other than just the repaving? And then in addition, is there still going to be any kind of gate at the top, or is it just getting moved to the bottom? So I'd just like to have more of a plan on those items.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other requests to speak on this item?
Hi, thanks for letting us speak tonight. My name is Michael Hahn, and I'm Jason Coe's neighbor, 1016 Santa Anita Street. I've been the owner since 2004. And I echo a lot of his concerns. I'm right next to him. And I don't think access should be denied to the people further down the street. And instead of widen the street at the top, I think it's better to just leave it as is and then put a turnaround further down the hill. I think that would be a cheaper alternative. And I use that access, Loretta Street, all the time to clear brush and to access a utility trailer that's stored in my yard, and that's the only way I can access it. And I'm there all the time with equipment to clear brush, do what's necessary to maintain the lot, to keep it fire safe. And I think that everyone should have equal access to their lot, not just the lot that's up the hill that's being subdivided. And that's it. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any other requests? Hi.
Hello, my name is McYoung Han. I'm also the homeowner at 1016. Michael's my husband. I'm here to speak on behalf of another neighbor who couldn't be here today, but ended up writing a letter. So I'd like to read her statement as well.
Okay.
Her name is Deb DeCapua. She lives at 1014 Santa Anita Street. And she's been a homeowner at this home since 1954. So one of the original folks. So she's seen a lot of the changes, pretty much every change that's gone on. The proposal is of great concern to us predominantly, as it appears it is an attempt to conceal the plan from the affected residents. Mr. Hahn has already shared some of the views as well as the other homeowners, and our questions and concerns are as follows. Loretta Street Access Road hasn't had an access or inlet other than Santa Anita Street for decades. In the event of emergency, how will the community safely evacuate? Adding more homes does not make it safer for the Francine Villa community. One way out is an emergency is a code violation of the city and state law. We cannot glean if the city proposal is to impose eminent domain. If so, how many feet? Is there an easement requiring affected homeowners to suffer loss of property or use, or even move fences? What plans are included in the reimburse affected homeowners for the loss of their loss of use or expenses incurred to move and install fencing? What studies and safety reviews have been done to give the plan? Where has it been published? Is it a part of the city plan? How will the transient population be made better by restricting access to the actual homeowners? The riverbed will still have access, and dumping have not occurred since the gate was in place. And if the city council disagrees, how will that change? If the cul-de-sac is being located towards the top of Loretta Street, why is the city widening the area below? Big question. Eliminating the only access point to maintain the required defensible space of vegetation is impossible if a vehicle cannot access the slope. The city of Oceanside not only puts our home in danger of loss through fire, but the entire community fire risk is increased. All homes on Santa Anita Street facing Loretta Street have long and steep properties with often unabated vegetation. The letter makes this area a tinderbox. Restricting full use of our property use for growing small crops and firewood will be eliminated without the means of haul via Loretta Street. The other 2 points in this last 20 seconds is, Mr. Tuck, I appreciate you highlighting the communication the City Council has made regarding this matter. What publication? We don't know. And the other thing is the signage. Date was wrong, October 8th, Saturday. None of us would have known unless I made a call to the city clerk to correct that, and that's why we're here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other requests to speak? Who hasn't spoken yet? Sir, please identify yourself.
John Cassis, Oceanside resident. The problem that I have with this is there's so much ambiguity to the document that was distributed, partially distributed, and you can kind of tell that because everybody's kind of all over the map not knowing what's actually being proposed or required or requested. Why is there not a detailed map drawn up describing exactly how wide it is, where it's proposed, where the fence is going to be moved? Does this impact people's lots? And if it does, what is required of them? Because some of it talks about giving up 60 feet from the center of the road, and that would be, you would be encroaching on actual building. So my suggestion would be, especially with the date confusion and the publication, is hold this off and put a detailed map together with detailed instructions so that the public can weigh and actually understand what's being proposed here so that they can weigh in on it accurately.
Thank you. Any other requests to speak?
Good evening, City Council. My name is Richard Scott, and myself and my wife, our family, we moved to 1019 Capistrano Drive in 1996. I've known many of you for a long time. Good to see you. And we love our neighborhood. It's a fantastic place. We love Oceanside, and really where we live is like a little secret spot because it's just so charming and there's not a lot of access. There are two items I would like to bring to your attention, and this is just for your consideration when it comes up to vote. And the first thing I'd like to acknowledge is something that nobody has mentioned tonight so far, and that is the area that's now controlled by the Fallbrook Land Conservancy, and it has to do with two endangered species of birds, the snowy plover and the least tern. And a lot of that area below the homeowners section was bought by the Fallbrook Land Conservancy in conjunction with the Department of the Navy. And you know, I'm sure you know there's a long history going back and forth with land on Camp Pendleton. Anyway, one thing that we've noticed over the decades is that there are a lot of home-free people that like to go down to the bottom of North Loretta Street now. And yes, they have had many encampments. And also at times they do start fires and they throw a lot of trash. And at times the city of Oceanside has graciously come and picked up the trash. However, the rats, there's a lot of rats that have infested the garbage, and those rats are a threat to the endangered species of birds. So, and in addition to what I've mentioned, there's also the police department can tell you a lot more about. There's a lot of incidents of prostitution and illegal drug use that goes on in those encampments. So the entire thing is a health hazard. It's a danger to those two species of birds that I mentioned. Okay, and it also brings crime and fire. So I certainly support the partial vacation of the bottom of North Loretta Street, and I hope that it'll be a safer, more secure place, both for the inhabitants of our neighborhood and for the endangered species of birds. And so that's one thing I'd like to mention. And the second thing is, if you would just please listen to what the neighborhood is saying about where to place the cul-de-sac. So we're not arguing that there shouldn't be a cul-de-sac, but it's where should it be placed? And that's all I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other requests to speak? No, sir, you already spoke once. Sorry, otherwise I'd have to let everybody speak again. So I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing. And before we hear from Mr. Tuck again and respond to all your questions, I'd like to take a 5-minute break until 10 of. Thank you. During the break, I had a chance to speak to staff, the city attorney, city manager, and others regarding potential for continuing this hearing for further discussions with the community. And I believe I have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez.
Hold on. We're going to get there because I think there's a lot of miscommunication, and I think more homeowners need to be on the same page. So one thing I want to bring to everybody's attention, and I've owned in this neighborhood. I love this neighborhood. I think I share your feeling. This is a unique oasis, and some of the big themes I've heard was access. The existing item in front of us does allow homeowners to still access their property for maintenance. I want to make that clear. Maybe you weren't aware of that. And that's some clarification I would like staff to do with every affected owner. I really want to get all of them mailed a packet of information so it's clear on a bunch of these concerns so that they have at the next hearing, whether I'm still here or off council, whoever replaces me. The other dynamic is the developer who built this community made these lots this large for a reason. And that reason is because it's not feasible to build real estate on the bottom of these hills because of utility access. In order to build, split your lot and build a house, you need to have utilities. You need to have sewer. And because of the elevations, that sewer is going to be extremely expensive, and you're going to have to pump that sewage somewhere. So you're talking about multi-millions of dollars in infrastructure in today's costs. And that's why it was never feasible. That's why your lots are this size. You definitely need access. This road was an emergency crossing, and it got washed away from a flood. I'm a firm believer, and most of us on this dais are firm believers in private property rights and the ability to build and do whatever you need to, but just the feasibility, the actual feasibility of doing something there is not feasible. It's just not. It's not practical unless you're willing to pony up the millions of dollars it would take to bring the utilities in. So with that being said, I definitely would like this to be continued. We can inform all the homeowners in the neighborhood and have this brought back to us and hopefully have some more clarification.
Thank you. So that would be a motion to continue. This would be renotice. So we're not continuing it to a certain date. You'd have you'd get another notice, and maybe better notice, and so that way we can have an opportunity to have this discussion. All right, and I believe there's a second by Councilmember Jensen. Councilmember Weiss.
I just have a question, so it's going to be continued not to a specific date, so it'll be a new notice public hearing, and we're going to have to sit through, everyone has a chance to talk again. Okay.
Yes, there's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-1. Weiss, no.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in and letting us know your concerns. Thank you. We're on to item number 17. That's City Council, the council sitting as the City Council. That is introduction of an ordinance amending Article 30, Section 3007 of the zoning ordinance, and adoption of a resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing document of the local coastal program to establish new home occupation permit regulations. I'm going to go ahead and open this public hearing and request disclosures from council members regarding constituent contacts and correspondence.
Staff.
Staff and I, over the years, I've had conversations with residents regarding home businesses.
Staff.
Mr. Navarro, do we have any correspondence and/or petitions?
We have not received any correspondence or petition on this item.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and start this meeting with testimony by Stephanie Cervantes, Associate Planner. Ms. Cervantes?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. My name is Stephanie Cervantes with the Planning Division, and I will be presenting this zoning text amendment and local coastal program amendment that's in front of you. Staff recommends that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending Article 30, Section 3007 of the zoning ordinance, CA 21-00006, and adopt a resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing document of the local coastal program, LCPA 21-0006, to establish new home occupation permit regulations. Home occupations are currently allowed in multiple zoning districts, including the ag districts, open space, mobile home park, residential, and downtown districts. Any resident wanting to have a business out of their residence is required to obtain a home occupation permit from the city. The city currently has about 350 active home occupation permits. This zoning text amendment is brought forward in order to ensure consistency between the zoning ordinance and business license division requirements for home occupations, and the current code currently prohibits employees, visitors, customers, or clients at the home of an occupation site. The zoning text amendments also being brought forward to update regulations in line with current trends. This map shows the location of active home occupation permits as of December of 2021. The proposed revisions allow a limited number of on-site visitors, customers, and/or clients. The proposed language clarifies that no structures on the site can be altered to accommodate the business. It requires on-site parking to be maintained, including existing non-conforming parking. It states that delivery vehicles must be in compliance with traffic regulations based on street classifications. The zoning text amendment requires a local coastal program amendment, as Section 3007 applies to properties within the coastal zone. The proposed changes will allow for a wider range of home occupation businesses. It provides an opportunity for improved work-life balance and reduced commute times. It affords positive social and economic impacts to the community for local households. The text amendment increases the city's job to housing ratio, and the proposed changes will not significantly change the character of residential areas, and it will protect the quality of life for neighbors. Staff recommends that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending Article 30, Section 3007 of the zoning ordinance and adopt a resolution establishing the amended text as part of the implementing document of the local coastal program to establish new home occupation permit regulations. I am available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cervantes. Do we have any requests to speak?
We do not have any advance written requests to speak on this item.
Okay. This is a time for the public to speak on this item. This is item number 17 regarding home businesses and changes to our local coastal program and zoning ordinance and an adoption of resolution established the amended text. Is there anyone that wishing to speak on this item? Please stand, approach the podium. I see no one rising. I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing and go to the council. I do move to introduce the ordinance and adopt the resolution. Councilmember Weiss?
So this would allow a piano teacher to have a student come to their house?
Councilmember Wise, council members, yes.
Second.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
I'm surprised we didn't have more speakers on this. That's good. Quick question. Since it is a permit-based, what's the protocol going to be for problem child businesses where they're really causing an uproar in a neighborhood and having more vehicle traffic, after-hour appointments, those sort of dynamics that neighborhoods could possibly be concerned? What's the protocol for that?
Councilmember Rodriguez, council member. So the procedures would not change as it currently is. Home occupation permits, they're currently required for all businesses. If there is issues that arise, we receive those from community-based complaints. Mm-hmm. So they go through our code enforcement process. The city does have the option to revoke business licenses.
Okay. Got it. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I said, over the years, I've had people say that they would really love to be able to get a business license in their home. Most of the folks that I heard from were based on, maybe intellectual property, something having to do with online businesses, and they actually had parking on site for this. So I'm really, really excited about this. Mr. Mullen, please title the ordinance.
This is the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Article 30 of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance regarding home occupation permits.
Let's vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you. Back to item number 20, which is communications, not on this agenda.
Our final three speakers on item number 20 are Sandy Beal, to be followed by Ken Layton, to be followed by Richard Newton.
Okay, Honorable Mayor Sanchez and City Council members. I'm Sandy Beal, Park Representative from Rancho San Luis Rey Mobile Home Park, homeowner president. I realize that the Manufactured Home Fair Practices Commission is looking to fill 2 commission spots. Tomorrow's meeting was canceled. I'm hoping that the Mobile Home Fair Practices Commission will still meet the first Thursday of every month, so homeowners from the mobile home community can come and state our concerns to the commissioners. This is the only forum that mobile homeowners have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken Layton speaking for myself. At the last meeting, I had 3 questions for Councilmember Jensen, of which she answered 1, to wit, why did you lie to get appointed to the City Council? You were asked about your connections to the short-term rental business, and you said, don't worry, I'm getting out of it. You didn't want to answer the other 2 questions, which I asked, which is fine. But when you were approved, 2 of the 3 council members who appointed you eventually said their selection was a mistake because of that lie. And then last week, you said the reason you didn't divest from and get out of the short-term rental business was because you refused to be bullied. Refused to be bullied? No one forced you to get in or out of that business. You have every right to be in it, but you do not have a right to lie about your own background to get appointed to a position most people have to run for. Vacation rentals can degrade a neighborhood. They can cause calls for police service. Council members were aware that this would be a conflict for you, and that's why they asked you about it. You lied to them to scam your way into this dais. And then you tried to weasel out of it by saying you were getting bullied. People get fired all the time for lying on their resumes, and Ms. Jensen, please be prepared if that same thing happens to you next month. I asked you why one of your tenants gets paid like turns out $66,000, including benefits, and who was hired by you to work as your personal aide, while this person never even shows up to work. And your response to me via email was that she works from home and actually took a pay cut to work in public service. Okay, Ms. Jensen, I guess we'll just have to take your word for it. And what's with fellow real estate agent Patty Kirschwein identifying herself as your scheduler, attending official meetings in your office as if she works for the city? It is my feeling that at this time, Oceanside is cleaning house, mopping up after a few embarrassing mistakes. Let us move out of the short-term rental cesspool and into a brighter, more honorable future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Newton?
I'd like to begin by pointing out that Councilmember Jensen was appointed to this position through an open and transparent and public process, and I thank her for her service. Speaking about what I came here to speak about, Honorable Mayor Sanchez, members of the council, and the public, I'd like to speak about the AMI Smart Meter Program, also known as the Water Smart Program. The water meters we've had for the past several decades provide data on water consumption that is manually obtained on a monthly basis. Specific consumption patterns are not discernible, and any information on monthly consumption is incidental to the necessary act of billing for metered services. With its hourly readings, the AMI meters are a different animal. Much like the peeping Tom with binoculars who is fixated on observing activity within a private residence, these meters are fixated on a given household, never blinking, never looking away, and observing everything that it is equipped to observe. But unlike the peeping Tom, this device can also observe private activity behind walls and closed curtains, meaning this device is actually more intrusive in some ways. AMI meters record consumption data that can be converted into a profile of water consumption activity. Please keep in mind that water consumption activity is activity. Once collected, we cannot know what happens to this information or how it is analyzed. Providing an opt-out choice is appropriate, and I thank the mayor and council for creating an opt-out choice during the April 20th council meeting. The problem is the water department has made no public announcements. Since the April 20th meeting, I have received 5 water bills, each with an important messages section. The first bill was dated May 20th, fully 1 month after the council approved an opt-out. Its important message section mentioned COVID-19, as did the following bill dated June 17th. The July and August bills mention new solid waste rates, and the most recent September bill has no message at all. 2 of the bills included an 8.5 by 11 letter announcing something else with no mention of an opt-out choice from the AMI surveillance meters. The creation of an opt-out choice is a material change to the AMI program, and it is incumbent upon the city to make the public announcement and inform all residents. It is simply proper and good governance to do so, and probably legally mandated. I ask the council to order the water department to make a full and complete disclosure to all residents that they have the choice to opt out from the AMI meters, and to offer at no cost to residents to remove the digital transmitter from any installed meter for those residents who did not receive notification that they could opt out. I further ask the council to delay any plans to charge residents an opt-out fee, a discussion scheduled for next month, until full public disclosure about opting out has been made and the water department has acted on all opt-out requests in good faith. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is that it?
The speakers.
Thank you. Item number 21 is adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13, 15, and Chapter 11, Article 2 of the Oceanside Municipal Code to reflect the adoptions of the 2022 edition of the California Building Standards Code, including local amendments, reduction in the required minimum size of the Construction Interpretation Board of Appeals, reincorporation of renewal, and expired permit fees. And I understand that this report was reflects the change that the board will consist of 5 people, with the quorum being 3.
Move
3
approval.
people. Motion to adopt. Okay, there's a motion to adopt, and there's a second. Please title.
Ready? This is the adoption of an ordinance of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 6 and Chapter 11 of the Oceanside City Code by the adoption of the 2022 editions of the California Building, Residential, Electrical, Mechanical, Plumbing, Energy, Green Building Standards, and Fire Codes, and the 2021 Uniform Swimming Pool, Spa, and Hot Tub Code.
Thank you. I did forget to ask if there were any public members who wish to speak on this item.
We do not have any members of the public.
Thank you. Please vote.
For this item.
Thank you. Any requests to speak? Any council member comments? Seeing no lights, we're going to go ahead and adjourn to a mayor council workshop next Wednesday, 2 o'clock, to make planning commission appointments. And there were, was it two vacancies, right? 2? Was it 1 or 2?
I believe there's only 1 vacancy.
Oh, I thought there were 2. Thank you very much. And next council, and after that, the council meeting will be on October, is it 19th? October 19th. Good evening. Thank you.